What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Scores! He did it again!
I just killed him. Before the game, I just killed John Madden because of a stink bomb.
Split special teamers, and now Brown is off to the races. Hurdles, kicks him in.
Giants are coming off a worse week than Harvey Weinstein.
That was the most exciting thing to happen tonight.
Game's over. Game is finally fucking over.
Ed, you got to turn your mic on. I think. Got his hand on the button.
And now, our feature program.
Hey guys, how you doing tonight?
What's up, Mr. Travis?
Not too much, Chris. How you doing, Jeremy?
Oh, it's been one of those weeks.
One of those weeks where it just won't end?
Yeah, I could have sworn it was already Sunday again.
Oh, it sure feels like it half the time. So maybe we'll have Nate, maybe we won't. It's kind of sad because I wanted to yell at him a little bit. I wanted to make fun of him.
He makes it so easy, though.
I know, and especially since what he said like months and months ago, I can throw it back in his face because he was wrong and I was right.
You can mock him, and that way when he comes on next time, you can go. Didn't you see the video last week?
Yeah.
You know they're probably sitting there watching it.
Oh, probably.
Because it's what he does. He can't disconnect completely.
Well, I think they were watching a movie, so who knows? He may be on late. So, all right. So let's start with some baseball. So the Dodgers won the World Series this past Tuesday, 3-1, and that was the score of the game. They won 4-2 in the series. But Justin Turner was pulled from the game following the 7th inning after Major League Baseball was notified they had tested positive for COVID-19. Until the game is almost over by that point. But he was quarantined in a doctor's office on the corner of the team. Then Turner later returned to the field wearing a mask to celebrate with the Dodgers title. He then took down his mask and posed for a team photo on the field. Now the season is over, the commissioner's office said on Wednesday that it was starting a full investigation of the 35-year-old third baseman. The season's over, and there will be no parade. Does it even matter at this point?
No, Major League Baseball is just trying to cover their ass in case it turns into an outbreak. That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's ridiculous. Like, big deal. He had it. The game was just about over. Just tell everybody on the thing to go get tested and stay away from each other for like 15 days.
Well, the issue is that if he did test positive, he's probably already contagious. And the fact is he's been around his team in a bubble for how long?
Right.
I mean, the fact is the exposure they've already got to him is probably more than what they got in that celebrating the win.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's basically then complaining about him removing his mask to the pitcher. Isn't it like a mute point? Because he had been around his team previously before that and before they even got the test back.
From a medical standpoint, if they had it or if they were going to get it, they already would have, theoretically, because like you said, he's been around them, in close contact with them, in the dugout for 7 innings.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Now, the only concern medically would be, were there new people that he wasn't physically around, in close contact with them during the picture, the photographer, anything like that. Like, those are the only people that really genuinely would be potentially at risk for contracting it that wouldn't have already had contact with him.
Right.
So you might have 5 people.
Well, they were saying because the players' wives and kids and stuff were able to be there for that. So they were saying that he could have possibly, because there were a few pregnant women there too. So they're saying, oh, he could have exposed women that are pregnant and this and that and this and that. So
was he right on top of them?
I don't think so.
I was gonna say, because if they're in the stands and he's on the field, the odds of him.
No, they're all in the field celebrating together.
Oh,
well, I mean, players and their families.
As long as he distanced from them, he should be all right.
But the fact is, if the players are already around, the players around their families, it's still a moot point where they're more at risk catching it from their significant others who already have it than they are from catching it from him on the field at that point in time.
Yeah.
It's going to be one big cesspool.
Yeah. So it's gonna be hit or miss whether it. But Major League Baseball is pretty much just trying to cover their ass in case there is an outbreak, saying, "See, we didn't approve of this. We're investigating it. This and that. And next thing you know,
Wait till everybody forgets.
Yep.
Just sweep it under the rug.
It's baseball. It's all they do is sweep things under the rug.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. Let's get some college stuff.
All right.
Your
so
favorite
this is what's that?
Said you were very happy to find out this.
Oh well, I have personal reasons that I'm happy about this. It does suck for the player itself. In the last half hour, this is just broke and finally confirmed by ESPN. Trevor Lawrence, QB1 for the #1 Clemson Tigers and the Heisman Trophy favorite, has tested positive for the Rona.
The Rona.
The follow-up test is also positive. ACC protocol dictates that he'll have to be quarantined for 10 to 14 days. So he's already out against Boston College this weekend. The more detrimental loss is if he can't come back to play against their highly anticipated showdown with #4 Notre Dame in 2 weeks. So,
well, if that's, you said 10 to 14 days, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't that put us at 9 days would be next Saturday?
Yeah, but I'm not sure when the positive test came back.
So it came back today.
Yeah. So depending on how they look at it, and that's if he's showing no symptoms.
Yeah.
So if he's symptomatic, they're not letting him play.
Yeah.
So this could be, a hiccup in his Heisman run. This could be a hiccup for the Tigers if they drop that game to Notre Dame, which even with the backup quarterback, I still don't think it's going to happen. But so the ACC.
Will that?
What's up?
Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good.
Oh, so the question is, do you think that's actually going to hurt his Heisman run, or do you think they'll take it into consideration?
They could. They very well could. I think the big thing is you have a Heisman Trophy finalist from last year in Justin Fields, who had an outstanding game this last week, had one incompletion the entire game, which really wasn't even his fault. And, if he continues to play the way he's playing, I think losing a game might not hurt him, but if he loses both of those games, I think that's going to be a big hit to him, especially because Notre Dame is one of the higher ranked teams that they play all season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That's, I think, the big one.
Well,
right.
So
isn't he already talking about playing next year also as a senior instead of jumping out into the NFL this year because of who the worst teams in the league are this year?
I've read some bits and pieces about that, where I think him and Dabo are kind of talking, maybe come back, build your draft stock. Because if you look right now, I can't think of the kid's name, but the quarterback from North Dakota State and Justin Fields are pretty much right behind him in quarterback draft picks. So he's going to have a lot less competition next year because there aren't really any high-level quarterbacks that are going to be eligible next year unless Fields decides to stay.
Yeah.
So
Trey Lance?
Yes. Who opted out of the season anyway. So by him, deciding to stay, he could better his draft stock, and be a 4-year starter at Clemson, potentially win anywhere from 2 to 3 national titles and, really build that draft stock and potentially get a better team than, say, the Jets.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends. Like, if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to the draft this year. That's me because, he's shown from true freshman to now that he can play in big games. As much as I don't like the guy, the dude's,
he's fairly good.
He's legit. Yeah, he's legit.
Yeah, but the thing is, every year they say, "Oh, next year there's going to be no good quarterbacks coming out," and there's always a few surprises that come out of nowhere.
Right.
Like
I'm
Burrow
talking
last
like, yeah. Well, yeah, Burrows was weird because of the fact that he should have been the starter at Ohio State from day one,
year.
but wasn't under Urban Meyer. But, you know, from what I've seen at least this year, like from the sophomores that would be juniors next year, I'm not seeing a lot of hot that could compete. There's good quarterbacks. I just don't think there's anybody that's going to compete for that like number one overall the way Trevor Lawrence would dominate that, barring he gets hurt.
Yeah.
I think he'd still be number one this year, especially with that other North Dakota State quarterback opting out. So his draft isn't going to go higher. He'll be okay. He's good, but he didn't play last year, so we don't really have any film on him. And who knows if he comes out or if he stays.
He's projected to go like mid to late first round from what I was looking at, and then like it's basically, pretty much.
And really,
you guys could end up with Justin Fields. Who knows? if y'all trade up for him, and if that happens, I'm gonna cry.
Hey, you do realize who our GM is? He doesn't trade up.
We trade down and away for kickers and defensive players.
Yes, he trades down for stupid players.
All right, so moving on, Ohio State played their first game of the week, or of the season, I should say, and jumped into the top 5 of the AP poll this week. They're number 3. They beat Nebraska 52-17.
Wow.
Yeah, and
They
like I
play
said,
defense.
Fields,
I thought nobody plays defense in college.
the Big Ten does. You're thinking of the Big 12. They don't have defense.
The Big 12 doesn't play defense; they play offense.
Yeah.
So the Big Ten plays defense. And
do we think that, just with this one win that they should be ranked as high as they are, given they were the number 2 team in the country in the preseason polls before COVID screwed everything up? I mean, it's one win. You got teams that are 4-1, 5-1.
Yeah, I don't think right off the bat they should have been ranked that high until we need to see these teams play, because we've seen these other teams play for a month and a little change now, a month and a half. Then you have these teams that just started playing, being ranked higher than some of them. I find that hard to be legit, because that might have been sweet. They won, and now they're gonna lose the next 5 games.
The question is, was Nebraska ranked?
No.
And I'd say no. But the fact is, the AP pool is a freaking darts at a wall. There's no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah, it's a bunch of media guys that vote. So, in the college football playoff, when they do decide to start their rankings, that's the ranking that essentially matters. And typically, the initial college football playoff ranking will almost mirror the AP poll, with maybe a few subtle changes here and there. But with this year being as messed up as it is, I don't see there being a lot of discrepancy between the two. I could be wrong, but I guess we'll see.
Yep.
So Wisconsin, right, had 16 players and staff total. I'm not sure the number of players and staff test positive for corona following their win against Illinois this week. The Big Ten has canceled this week's game against Nebraska, and it will not be made up.
I read somewhere that they were just going to give them forfeits, basically, right?
I don't think so. I think it's just basically a non-played game. So where everybody else in the Big Ten is playing an 8-game season, potentially those 2 teams will only play a 7-game season.
Gotcha.
And do we think the Big Ten screwed themselves in the potential rankings, being able to get teams into the top 25 by starting as late as they did? And, like the ACC, the SEC, they have these bye weeks kind of scattered throughout their season. Yes, it is still a shortened season, but they have bye weeks to be able to make up some of these games that they're missing, because a team has corona. Where the Big Ten has basically made their schedule, it's 8 straight weeks of regular games and then conference championship weekend with no break. So they didn't build anything into the schedule to make up for any COVID-related cancellations.
Yeah, they
I
screwed
think they just
themselves.
started too late to build that into the schedule, and they
Right.
realized it too late.
Mm-hmm. And as a Big Ten guy myself, I think, because they did make the announcement, hey, we're going to have a season. But then after they announced it, they still waited almost a month to play. Like, I think if they would even just, hey, in 3 weeks, vice 4, we're going to start, and that allows you to build in at least one bye week in case you need it for a makeup game, and it also gives the players a little bit of a chance to recoup because, 8 straight weeks of regular season games going into a conference championship that's already, essentially 2 weeks behind where they're normally at for a conference championship, and then trying to turn around and play a regularly, normal time playoff and bowl season run, you're asking for more players to get injured and, potentially get even COVID because, they're just burnt out. They haven't had that recoup time.
They needed to start a week earlier and have like a week 5 bye for makeup games, and they didn't. And they're in the same deal that the NFL is. They're trying to move everything around, but they should have built in, like the NFL should have built in every fifth week there's a bye for every team, and we just extend the season another 2 weeks. But that way, games can be made up that had to be moved or canceled. But those teams won't get that bye. They may get the next bye, kind of thing.
Yep. All right.
Yeah,
And
so
that's what
definitely should have.
They should have built in a bye.
Yeah. All right. So notable upsets this week were Rutgers over Michigan State, because Rutgers is usually a garbage team.
Yeah, they haven't been good in a
usually-
long time.
Yeah, maybe a 1 or 2 win team, 3 win team, maybe. They beat Michigan State 38-27. Wake Forest upset number 19 Virginia Tech 23-16.
I caught the end of that game. That game, like the last, probably 10 minutes of it, it looked like it was a tough game.
I didn't see that game, so I can't speak to, if it was, if there were issues with Virginia Tech, turnovers or anything like that. But the big upset of the week was when Indiana upset top 10 ranked Penn State 36-35 in overtime.
Wow.
And I know we're going to probably get to this in the NFL. Penn State pulled in Atlanta before Atlanta did. They scored with like a minute left in the fourth quarter when they could have just, downed it and ran the clock out. And then when they were up, they scored, and Indiana came down and scored and sent it to overtime and won in overtime.
They won in overtime on probably the smallest fraction of a chance I've ever seen.
Yeah, like the tip of the ball basically crossed the goal line and hit the pylon right as he was hitting the ground. Like, I've watched that replay like 50 times to try to figure it out. And I can't come away with no, he did not score, like, indisputably from like all the different angles I found on YouTube and everything.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, it's like you can't overturn that. But it is, they say it's a very questionable call, but Indiana did upset Penn State by a point. So, and then Penn State plays Ohio State this week. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, and we play them at Happy Valley at home. So, Ohio State's on the road, so it should be a good game. It's the Saturday night game, college game day game. So
there we go. That'll be good.
Yeah.
That could be
And
fun.
lastly, in Raging Cajun news, the Cajuns beat University of Alabama. University of Alabama Birmingham (UAB) 24-20. This brings them to 4-1 on the season. They didn't break into the AP top 25 this week, but did receive 50 votes.
Good for them.
They're still getting voted to try to be in the top 25, and they were, and they very well could with a win next week.
And they're back in bowl contention.
Yep. I mean, they're still probably in some type of bowl contention, but it's going to be your,
junk bowls.
Yeah, it's going to be your, Dollar General Bowl or whatever. But,
those stores are everywhere.
tell me about it. Like,
they're even more prevalent. Prevalent. What's the word?
Prevalent.
Yeah, prevalent.
Prevalent.
That's the word.
Yeah.
Prevalent down south. They're like at every corner. They're like Dunkin' Donuts is down there.
I
Our
drive,
Dunkin' Donuts up
literally,
here are there.
out of my subdivision, if I turn left and go 5 miles, Dollar General. I turn right, 5 miles, Dollar General. Literally going to work, which is 23 miles, I will pass 6 of them.
That's us and our Dunkin' Donuts.
Do they serve
I
coffee
passed
in the morning
one.
for you?
Not there, unfortunately.
That's what Dollar General needs to break into his coffee business.
Yeah, I've been into some of these Dollar Generals. I don't know if I want them making my coffee. Just saying.
People behind the counter worry you. So, here's a question for you, Chris. We're talking about bowl games and stuff like that. When are colleges going to finally take like their top teams of every division and kind of break it out like the Sweet 16 so we actually have a playoff set up and a final, like these are the best of the best of the best teams?
So they are slowly progressing to that. Because I don't know if you guys, how much, I know you guys don't follow a lot of college football.
No,
So
this is actually the first year I've ever watched college football games on a Saturday and not just like highlight replays.
So prior to the college football playoff committee, you had the bowl championship series, the BCS, which was essentially a computer that ranked everybody based off of certain statistics, strength of schedule, all that stuff.
Criteria depended on by human inputting what's more valuable than another.
Yeah.
So that, and people complained.
Yeah,
Yes,
little gnat fly.
I keep seeing this. I'm like, what are you doing?
I have like this little gnat fly that was flying around. I think I finally killed him.
You get him?
I think so. I don't see him anymore.
So you had that, and that would rank. So at the end of the season, the number 1 and number 2 team in the country would play in one of these bowls. It didn't matter which bowl for the national title. And that's why you ended up with the 97 Michigan team. That's why I always give them crap, because their only national championship in the last 100 years was a shared national championship with Nebraska because of the end ranking at the end of the season. So it caused a lot of issues. So they went to the 4-team playoff. Well, now you're arguing, okay, you have 5 Power 5 conferences, the big conferences, Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10, ACC, SEC. So you have 5 of the main conferences, not including all the little, AAC, Sun Belt, all these other smaller Division I level teams.
Yeah.
So you have 4 slots for all these different teams. And this is based off of a committee, human committee voting. All right. And there's been talks that they want to eventually expand to 6 or 8 teams. My opinion, I think 6 would be ideal, because what you do, 6 or 8 would be ideal, actually, because conference champions from the Power 5 schools get an automatic bid into the playoff.
Yep.
All right. And that gives you 3 at-large bids for a 1-loss non-conference champion like a Georgia when they only lose to Alabama, or one of these, I'm going to use, one of these outstanding, teams like UCF that we found out wasn't as good as they really thought they were because of the level of competition they played, but they were still an undefeated Division I team.
Right.
And deserve to be, have a chance to fight for that title. So you get 3 at large, 8 teams, 3 at-large bids. And so one of the things you can do, especially with a 6-team makes sense because you very minimally alter the regular season. You take, instead of your standard first 3 games of the season are typically your warm-up games, your non-conference, out-of-schedule game, out-of-conference games.
Yeah.
You take one of those off, move everything up a week, and that allows you to play the first round of the playoffs, say either, right before Christmas, go on Christmas break, come back, and then you play the playoff series with the top 4 teams. Yeah, the top, you play the playoff series, accordingly.
Yeah.
With an 18 playoff, you would probably have to eliminate, another out of conference game, or you would have to somehow work it to where you play, 1 to 2 games prior to Christmas, or you move the national title game that's usually like the 6th or 8th of January back a week, and now you're playing into mid-January, vice like ending essentially right after New Year's.
Right. I think basically I would want to go with an 8 or maybe even a 12 playoff system.
Division 2?
Just because
Division 2 does a 16-team playoff every year.
And I think that might be the best way to do it. And that way, if you have all these top division schools, all these 1A division schools playing for a national title, but they don't ever get to that point because they're not one of the big leagues. Now, if you have the top division winners and all these smaller 1As go against, so say you have the smallest league playing the highest league kind of thing, and you got all these guys playing except for the number 1 and the number 2 teams out of all the leagues, they get that first week bye. And then they got to play down throughout the whole entire thing. And so if it ends the end of January, well, that's fine because the Super Bowl is not for another couple of weeks, and they play opposite of the NFL. And I think that would help viewership because everything it'd be more like March Madness, where you have all those, who's playing who, and you could see how these teams compare to each other better, I think, than if you just see like these guys who were undefeated throughout the whole entire season in their division, but once they start playing these big schools, they get blown out. And so okay, they're not as good as they look, but they're better than they looked, than everybody thought they should be.
Right.
So I think that would really help colleges play, get more of these players that are only going to the big top 10, top 5 league schools, and bringing them into these smaller schools and having the pros be able to say, hey, this team from no man's land, Timbuktu, just beat the number 4 ranked in the whole all college single A.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would people would want to watch it more, I think.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, what you're saying about seeing, well, 1, it's more football. Everybody wants more football.
Yeah.
But 2, it eliminates so if you look at since 2015 when Ohio State won the inaugural college football playoff national title, they won from the number 4 slot.
Yep.
But for the most part, Ohio State, Clemson, and Alabama are the 3 teams that have been in the playoff more than anybody else.
Right.
And I mean, we've had a Clemson, Alabama, I think at least 3 or 4 out of the 5 years that we've done it.
Yeah.
National title game, and people were like, I don't want to watch this again.
Yeah, it's getting boring because it's the same teams every year.
Mm-hmm. And that's the argument where they conference schedules, play into it, because if you look at the ACC versus the SEC or the Big Ten, the ACC really isn't all that strong compared to the other conferences. They have 1, maybe 2 really good teams in Clemson, maybe a Miami, maybe a Florida State, depending on the year. Other than that, you look at the scores that Clemson's putting up on people. They're putting up 70-14 and stuff like that. But they're still sitting at number 1 because they've proved when they get to the playoff that they can hang with the SEC teams, the Big Ten teams.
Yep.
But everybody's like, well, they really shouldn't be ranked there because they're playing no ranked teams throughout the season, maybe 1. And then they go to, you look at the Big Ten and the SEC, typically you have at least 3 to 4 teams ranked in the top 25 from each of those conferences, if not more.
Right.
So
I got a question for you. How many major college conferences are there?
Altogether, I couldn't answer that question right off the top of my head. The Big Five, you have the Big Five, and then you have the Group of Six. So there's at least 11 there. So the Group of Six is like your AAC, your MAC, your Sun Belt, Mountain West, right? So, those are those they're big conferences. That's why they're called the Group of Six. And then you have your Power Five, which are like the original SEC, ACC, Big 12, Big 10.
I know. I know. Last year, me and Nate went over all of the conferences, and there was, there was so many of them. I'm gonna look it up from our old
Google Docs.
Google Docs.
Okay, well, while you're looking that up,
yeah.
My thought would be you take the number 1 seed from all those conferences. They get a first round bye in theory. And then the number 2 and number 3 seed from inside that conference play each other. Winner of that takes on the 1 seed from that conference. Winners of that now go into a bracket format where they play each other based on what their pre-postseason rating would have been, like positioning, and you start dwindling down the positions as you go. I don't know how.
That's kind of like what I was thinking along those lines.
Hold on, he's counting.
Who's counting?
He's counting. Chris is counting.
Oh, that's actually from the college bowl games weekends.
So there's 11 FBS. So Division 1 FBS football bowl subdivision. There are 11 conferences. And then you have FCS football championship subdivision, which are your smaller schools like, Ohio Valley Conference, I think Miami of Ohio plays in that.
Yeah.
Southwestern Athletic Conference that basically only covers like 1 or 2 states or 2 or 3 states. So you have those.
So did you hear my thought behind it?
No, what was that? I'm sorry.
So you take the number 1 seed from each of the conferences. They get, in theory, a first round bye. You take the 2 and the 3 seed from inside the conference. They play each other. And then the winner of that plays the number 1 seed in each conference. After that point, now the 1 seeds are now all put into a bracket format, they're all based on what their end of season positioning was, 1 through 500, say, whatever it is. And now you take all those teams and you position them like that, and you take the higher seeds versus the lower seeds and kind of like a bracket down to the end goal.
You basically, I understand what you're saying, and I could put it on if I needed to, but it's essentially like a wrestling bracket. If you're remotely familiar.
Yeah, I used to wrestle.
Yeah, it's like a March Madness. It's like, even like the NFL bracket is, but you have in theory, it's like a play-in game. So the 2 and 3 seed face each other, and they face the 1 seed. The winner of that, it's like the playing game, and the winner of that moves on to the actual inside seeds.
Yeah, like in wrestling, we call that a pigtail match.
Yes.
So essentially, you're wrestling to get into the tournament.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So your 1 seed's at least in the game, but your 2 and 3 seed are fighting for that chance to possibly make it in.
Yeah.
That's I think the most amazing upsets would happen, is if they had those kind of play-in games where the number 2 now says, "Hey, we got number 2 and number 3 says, hey, we now have a chance to become national champions. We got to put our asses to the boards and do our job and get this thing done."
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like something like that could be I think you'd get a lot more national coverage on it. Like, that would be something even non-college football fans would be focused on, going, oh, well, now we got this bracket. We can
bet on it. We can follow it. We can
bet on it.
Would make a lot more money.
Yeah, betting on college basketball brackets is huge.
Exactly. Yeah. Now you turn that same income from college brackets from college basketball to college football, you'd have a surplus.
Oh yeah.
And especially the first weekend, maybe 2. Some of the games might not be that good, but once you start getting down to it, these games are going to start getting tight. People will tense up. There'll be some upsets. There'll be some Cinderella stories coming out of nowhere, and really surprise everyone.
I don't know. I think we'd
The
see
Raging
some
Cajuns take the national title.
right.
Exactly.
I think we'd see some of these like second and third
He
ranked.
would cry.
I think if we had that kind of setup, we would see some of these second and third rank division teams showing that these guys can actually, and like not even the number 1 team, but the number 2 or number 3 team, being like, if we put our minds so we could beat some of these good teams and watch them go up against these top teams and possibly win these massive upsets against teams that they've never even thought about playing, kind of thing.
I will say the biggest thing with college football is there's 2 big factors. You have on these smaller school teams, like I'm going to use a Memphis or a Cincinnati, you have Ohio State, Alabama, all these big school quality players. The problem is you might have 2, 3 of those, where Ohio State has an entire roster of 5-star recruits. And the thing is, at that point, you're at a detriment because of your depth. Like Ohio State, their backups are 4 and 5-star recruits out of high school.
Yeah.
So those are the issues where it does come into play. Coaching, though, is huge in college football. Just like, certain coordinators in college football are legend because of the way that they just do things, and that's why they stay in college football. Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Well, his only time in the pros, he went with a Randall Cunningham over Drew Brees, so his talent evaluation goes.
Yeah.
All right, so that's enough about college for tonight.
That is the longest we've ever spent in college.
It is.
I was really surprised because you guys were asking me questions I was not prepared for. I knew the good answers to them, but I was not ready.
You got to be ready. When we're talking football, we're talking sports. We'll come up with some questions.
Yeah, now that all the other sports are done, we got very little to talk about. We're gonna just talk about football, college, and NFL. So we're gonna start getting some more college in there. Because I'm actually starting to watch it for the first time.
More.
Well, I'm finally starting to watch college and realize that some of these games are just like outrageous. The scores are and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I also think if there was more of the a playoff atmosphere, you'd have some of these more less known schools, some of these higher end talent players really show, and people go, well, where's he going to go next year in the pros? Is he coming out next year? How many years has he been in college, kind of thing?
Yeah,
You'd see if you look more people like that.
And you might see some of these.
Look at the draft. You see some of these schools like Central Michigan or Eastern Michigan, or I'm going to use Jimmy G, Eastern Illinois.
Yeah.
I've been
Who the hell is
campus.
Eastern Illinois?
Yeah, it's in a podunk ass town of Charleston, Illinois.
Yeah.
I've been on that campus. I've wrestled there, and it's slightly bigger than a community college campus, but
it has
it's
dorms.
not a huge campus. Like the whole reason that town is there is because of the college.
Yep, that's how a lot of those colleges are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
You get those players.
And that's the thing. You'd see a lot of these players that coming out of like on draft day, you see all these players going, and you're like, what college is that? Where is that from? Like when we
Is
brought
that
Rage
actually
Nation
a
up to you.
college?
Like when we
Yeah, and
brought
I'm a
Rage
college
Nation-
guy.
Exactly. It's a lot of these they're well known in their area, but they're not well known nationally. I think you'd get more of these colleges more national attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
And
would definitely
Like
be better
what
for-
happened with UCF,
Yeah, exactly. They
And
got
it
that
would
national
definitely-
spotlighted.
It would definitely make people like me, who basically only watch the NFL, don't really watch college except for on New Year's. Because there's always a football game on New Year's, a college game on New Year's. There's usually a bowl game. That's the only time I ever really watched college, is because there was no pros on it usually. And I was like, so I never really watched college. But you put it into a playoff bracket where I can make bets with my friends, where we can make picks and be like, hey, we're smarter than you are. Chris better run the table on us. And like,
Yeah, Chris would flop.
I would
And, like-
hope I would.
and
Yeah,
be able
no,
to
my
root
luck.
for these like
Chris
podunk,
would flop. We'd kill him by 10 games.
and to be able to look at these podunk, nobody knows towns that or have football teams, and goes, God only, how did anybody find out they actually had a football team? And then all of a sudden being like, hey, he's actually really good. And finding those rare star players that we're going to see in the draft and be like, hey, I know where he came from. He's actually pretty good. He might be worth something.
I mean, look at Antonio Brown. He came from Central Michigan.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Who knew?
I mean, there's been a lot of those players that have come from those like second tier colleges that you never hear of, but some scout went, got their film, checked it out, said, yeah, he's worth taking a shot on him. And they pick him up late in the draft.
You know, with you guys making me watch,
more college than ever
not
before.
really making me, making me watch more pro than I have in recent years. And I've followed college football easily for more than a decade since I graduated high school, like really closely. And I'm looking at starters that are at skill positions. Not a lot of people know a lot of linemen's names. I get that, but like skill positions. And I'm like, where the hell did he go to school? I don't remember him ever being good, like a standout, like you'd know the name in college.
Right.
You see that a lot in pro, where they were good in college, got drafted third to fifth round, and then
they're studs.
Exploded in the pros.
Oh yeah, and that's how. What is they say? Third through sixth rounder. Third through fifth round picks usually end up being breakout stars in the pros, but first and second rounds make a splash and then die out. Mm-hmm. The odds are being have a first rounder, be a lifetime player, making it through the full contracts without being cut is rare, almost. More rare than your other rounds, I guess.
I mean, like, take a player like Edelman. He came from Kent State. Where the fuck is Kent State?
That is actually in Akron, Ohio.
Yes.
Exactly.
My stepmom went there. That's why I know that.
But it's not one of the two big Ohio schools.
Yeah.
And just think about it. He's second all time in postseason reception yards and catches.
Who's he behind, Jeremy? Randy Moss?
No. Who the frick do you think he'd be behind?
Oh, that would be
the greatest receiver to ever play the position.
Yes,
wasn't the most talented.
Rice, Jerry Rice.
Yep. He was not the most talented.
If I know this, Travis, and you don't, we have a problem.
He wasn't the most talented receiver out there, but he outworked everyone every day of the week.
Yeah.
If you took someone like Randy Moss and gave him Jerry Rice's motivation to be better, the league would have never been able to stop him.
Well, speaking of Julian Edelman, today it was reported that Edelman underwent a precautionary standard knee procedure Thursday morning.
So wait, when is a precautionary standard knee procedure something?
I believe a knee procedure.
I've had 5 knee surgeries.
Standard.
It's never standard.
5.
And it's never.
Has many of them been considered a standard procedure?
Standard for them.
I think not. Well,
I think anything
a standard procedure, this is a standard. This is the procedure. It's a standard.
Yeah, it's nothing special. We're not.
Not precautionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was reported by Adam Schefter, and he is expected to miss Sunday's road game against the Buffalo Bills. Which, you have a knee surgery. Of course, you're going to be out for at least a week.
I'm assuming it must have been a scope or something, not actually like.
They must have gone in to see how bad it was because he's been off his game all year.
I'm thinking they scoped something and ground something off or cleaned something out that was some particles or something in there.
Probably. The Patriots could also be without receiver N'Keal Harry on Sunday because he remained silent because of a concussion.
Yeah, he's not coming back this year, I don't think.
I think he's done for the year. He's junk.
Hey, look! There's Mr. Jerry Rice.
There he is. And Moss next to him. See?
Yeah. And I told you, if Moss would have worked half as hard as Jerry did, that record book would be completely different.
Oh, yeah.
But the other question is, I believe I've heard N'Keal Harry had concussion issues in college.
He did,
Chris?
if I remember correctly.
Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
He's got to go to the bathroom.
N'Keal Harry. He had concussion issues in college, didn't he?
I'd have to look it up. To be honest with you, yeah. Because I'm trying to think, where did he play college ball at? The name sounds familiar, but I'm not like pinging on it.
Well, you said you gotta go to the little boys' room, so why don't you run? We'll find out.
Yeah. Okay. Arizona State. Yeah, let me find it.
You find out that. Yeah, Arizona State College.
Yeah.
Yeah, see if you can find it.
Trying to find out his concussions.
So his concussions. That would leave the Patriots with Demonte Byrd, Jacoby Myers, and Gunnar Olszewski. Olszewski. I knew I'd get it eventually. At receiver.
No, you didn't get it.
And that means likely that they'll be moving somebody up from the practice squad. How bad do you think the Buffalo game is going to be, Jeremy?
I think it's time to sell wholesale everyone that has any trade value, and just play. I mean, most of the players realize if they don't win this week on Sunday, their season's
done.
It's done, because the issue with playing in New England after the 20 years of greatness,
yeah,
it's not making the postseason isn't an accomplishment. It's not making the AFC Championship. You have to make the Super Bowl to make the season worth it.
Right.
And
a lot of people have just gotten to the point where if they don't go to the Super Bowl, it's done. It's not even worth it.
Yeah.
Why we bother even playing? Because all these people don't remember the days before Brady, don't remember the days before even Bledsoe, where we sucked and we sucked bad. Hey, Smitty, how you doing? The Pats do not have this.
So it's time to wholesale the team, trade anyone they can, and really just it's time for them to rebuild, get a lot of young rookies. Arizona State, Chris.
Okay, that's probably why I wasn't super familiar with them.
It says he's dealt with concussion issues. He had a lot of concussions at a young age.
So yeah, but I had a bunch of them in college. So Edelman has also been almost not effective, other than bringing the best or the second best corner with, and if it's the second best corner, is safety over the top help. Do we think this will allow Buffalo to play more man coverage and with less issues because they're not going against Edelman and going against, having to worry about somebody big like N'Keal?
I don't think they're afraid of N'Keal Harry because they've seen what he can do.
Yeah, and it's next to nothing.
Yeah, and Edelman, he had one game where he did something this year, but besides that...
Well, he's always been, lately, it's double coverage all the time. There's
no,
if you
not
watch
this year.
No, it's even double coverage even this year.
They've been playing a lot of man on him. Just Newton can't find him when he is open.
No, Newton can't. His eyes don't stay open at all. So, do we think that the defense for Buffalo is going to have any problems with the Pats this week at all?
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say
I don't think so.
I'm going to say Buffalo's... I mean, I'd say no, but I don't think Buffalo's offense can do garbage considering they couldn't score a touchdown against the Jets last week and had to kick, 5 or 6 field goals to win the game?
Yes, who had that kicker and
that's what I was just thinking.
Scored all those points. Because I think I had him originally.
So I can't really say much.
Right. Your kicker went for 30 points last week.
Didn't this kicker on the TV right now, didn't New England bring him in last year for a tryout?
Who is this?
Young Hoo Ko or something like that.
Is that the kicker from Notre Dame?
I think so.
I think he's a few years removed now.
Yeah, the name rings a bell. I think he's like the all-time points leader for kicking, obviously, at Notre Dame.
Yeah. Yonku or something like. Yeah, the Pats tried him out last year. They didn't make it.
Young Ho Koo.
Yes.
He. Where's college? College, Georgia Southern.
Oh, I was wrong.
How many years, Smitty, before Belichick brings it back? It's gonna be at least 5, I think.
I said 3 to 5.
Yeah, you say 3 to 5. I say 5. It's they have no core anymore, and they have to rebuild the whole core. All the defensive players that were the core of the defense all took the year off, and there is no core to the offense anymore. They're starting over from day one, basically. The core for the last 20 years has been Brady, and without him, there's really nothing there for the offense. They have to they have to throw it away and start over again.
Yeah, I think it's about time they really would do a younger movement, get a lot of younger players in there, and
they're
really
gonna have
push
to,
for a development and get going.
You have to basically start over. They can't play the same offense they have been playing for years. So
no, they can. They just have to go back to the basics, because that offense will work with the right people there.
So, Smitty, I think the defense is more COVID, but the offense is more Brady leaving. I think that's Brady held their offense together last year as best as he could without any real support other than Edelman. And you can see it because Edelman had caught 90% of his passes last year that Brady threw to him, and 90% of the passes were to Edelman.
And Smitty, their defense was not on point last year. Their defense numbers were completely out of whack because of the competition they played. They had one of the weakest strength of schedules last year that they've ever had in history.
Yeah,
I think it was one of the weakest strength of schedules ever since the NFL has started to keep track of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for a Super Bowl winning team, it was the weakest schedule ever.
No, I think just in general. They had a lot of their opposing conferences they played just had a lot of bad teams that weren't playing well anyways. So
yeah, and when they got to the good teams, you notice they lost against them, and their defense imploded.
Exactly. That defense was way overhyped by numbers because of the competition they were playing.
So let's get to on Wednesday. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported the NFL is planning to host the Super Bowl 55 with around 13,000 fans in attendance, or 20% of the capacity of Raymond James Stadium, otherwise known as the Tampa Bay Bucks home stadium. Are we surprised they're actually having fans?
No, actually, I'm surprised they're not doing a full fans.
Or even closer to 50, at least 50%.
Because Florida teams have the okay to have 100% capacity in their stadiums currently.
Right. So,
which is why that college football coach said, "Oh, pack the stadium." Was that a month ago now?
And his team had something players or something.
So
yeah, so no, I'm not surprised.
How much do you think the tickets are going to cost?
I still think they're going to be about what they normally are.
You think normal prices?
Yeah.
I would think they'd be double or triple of normal price.
I don't think they can just because of the pandemic. Because the fact is the people that are going to buy them are going to be the corporate tickets probably.
Mm-hmm. Or
it's going to be local people. Yeah, it's going to be probably local people to that area. They're not, because of the travel restrictions and whatnot for a lot of states, they're probably going to limit who can actually go and who can't. So I'm assuming it's probably going to be on point with what it currently would be on average.
So the normal, $10,000, $5,000?
Yeah, for the low levels.
At least.
Tickets.
Yeah. And it also depends on where they're going to be seating people. What tickets are available. I would assume that they're not going to pack everybody in the lower bowl. So
no, what I've noticed is that they spread them out pretty good throughout the other stadiums.
Well, yeah, they're going to be. It's probably going to be groups that you're probably going to have to. Everything. You're probably going to be able to buy 2 tickets. You're probably going to have to buy a group section of seating, and you have to come with that group, and everyone in your group has to kind of go. Probably 10 or 20 people in a section, and that way they can really get it more.
Thank you, Smitty. Yeah, the average
better.
ticket price last year was $10,000. So that gives you
that was
your
for the
low
lower
range.
bowl.
That was for the
That
Super
was
Bowl.
Yeah, that's the lower section though. That's not like the nosebleeds.
I think
the nosebleeds go for like $2,000.
I think they're not that cheap.
No, they are. I looked.
Well, since Nate's not here, I think we're gonna hold off my last question for the night till Nate for next week. So let's get to the power rankings. Chris, you want to take care of those?
I can definitely take care of that.
You definitely missed a bunch here, Travis.
What else did I miss, Jeremy?
You did nothing about the Cam Newton stuff.
Oh, that's the main thing. Missed. Yeah,
no, that's all. That's all part of Nate. So I will update that Cam Newton stuff next week. Actually, no. We can talk about that. So after
kind of prevalent to this week.
All right. So after the abysmal week game, Cam Newton was taken out of the game for Jarrett Stidham. Stidham came in the fourth quarter after the Cam had thrown his third interception of the game at the end of the third quarter. So now that we are seeing the Cam of recent time, like that we saw in the past couple of years, how much longer do we think he will be the starting QB?
I think if they lose this weekend, they're going to go into full evaluate everyone. Oh, he didn't get the fly yet.
Nope. It came back.
And I think they have to get Stidham in there to see if he can. He'll start a few games probably to see what he is, but if he doesn't improve at all, it's not gonna be for long. Oh, the fake punt, and it works.
Yeah, and here's the thing, and we didn't really touch on this a whole lot this week. You know, what is it? I want to say Monday. Is it Monday night is the trade deadline?
I think so, yes.
It's Monday or Tuesday. So,
Tuesday.
There's a lot.
Tuesday.
There's a lot that could happen. Yeah, there's a lot that can happen, Monday, Tuesday. If Cam goes out this week, I've seen, some rumors here and there that they may be looking to get rid of him, trade him. I don't think so because he is a 1-year contract, but.
Well, they'd be looking to trade him to someone like Dallas who in theory is still in the hunt, but
because of the league they're in.
Yeah, because of the division they're in, but they've lost their starting quarterback and now their backup quarterback. And 3 or 4 games with a, in theory, practice squad quarterback can quickly destroy a season, even in that crappy division. So I don't think anyone is going to be giving up any kind of compensation for Cam. I mean, you might get like a 7th that could possibly be bumped up to a 6th depending on play, but Cam has never had the ability to really read a defense quickly and get the ball out quickly to receivers before they're open.
And
Cam always waited for the receiver to get open before he'd throw the ball.
And it's really showing up this year.
Yeah, and that just doesn't work in the NFL. You have to anticipate your guy's going to get open and where the ball has to be placed so that the defender can't get to it. Where
that break.
Cam doesn't have that ability. He never has. His threat was always, if you don't spy him, he'll take off running and you're not going to be able to stop him. Which is what he did to Miami.
And since then they've changed that, and the receivers can't get open enough for him, and it's just been downhill ever since. Anyways, let's get to the power rankings now that we know Cam sucks again.
Hold on. Smitty wants to know if the Pats win, does it change anything?
If the Pats win this week, it'd be surprising. I will be very surprised. This this year, I am writing off as a bad year. Yeah, they need a lot of players to go back. Oh.
If the Pats win this week, it makes the division still a possibility for them to win the division.
Yeah, and that's
all that does.
But Bridgewater is down. That's not good.
Yeah, he got kicked, and then he got clipped in the back of the head.
Oh. Well, that means he's going to be in concussion protocols. Oh yeah.
Yep. You know, this is his second time this season he's had a perfect passer rating through the first half of the game.
Really?
Yeah, they had the stat up there earlier.
Yeah. Well, let's get to
the rest of the league. The rest of the league has only had one quarterback with the perfect passer rating for the first half of a game.
Oh,
He's had 2.
let's get to the power rankings, Chris.
All right, so holding steady, holding up the caboose here. At number 32 is the New York Jets with an 0-7 record.
Hold on, Smitty. Smitty's wondering about. He's talking about going forward, not just this week.
Oh, Bridgewater being down?
No, I think he's talking about the Pat. If the Pats win, does it change anything?
No.
I'm saying no. No, it doesn't. The
I
Pats,
still, yeah.
Cam isn't the answer. It's time to see if Stidham is, and if he's not, it's time to go. Okay, put Hoyer back in, or play Stidham or whoever gives you the best chance to lose in theory, and get a higher round draft pick and try and go for one of those top quarterbacks to really build your team back around. Because let's face it, yeah, you get a high draft pick in the first round to go after one of those quarterbacks, but now you also get high draft picks in every other round, which gives you a better chance to really get some more talent on that roster.
That's what they really need. All right,
yes.
Let's get to number 31.
Don't worry,
31.
Smitty, we love you too.
Number 31, the New York Giants at 1-6.
Okay, hold on, wait. If the Patriots lose out the rest of the season, could they technically get the first round draft pick?
Yeah, because they would lose the rest of the season. They would be tied with the Jets, but they would lose to the Jets. That put them at the last place that they've never happened before.
No, because the Giants, Jags, Atlanta, and Washington and the Bengals would all have to, and Houston will all have, and Minnesota would all have to win at least one more game.
Right.
Or 2 more games.
Oh, the Pats are trying. They dropped out of the graces of God. All right.
Okay, I'm done interrupting. Go ahead.
Keep going, Chris.
We good? All right.
I think we're still at 31, 30, right?
Yeah. At 30, the Jacksonville Jaguars at 1-6. At 29, the Atlanta Falcons at 1-6. But they've almost won like 4 games.
They dropped from 28.
Yeah. At 28, up from 29, the Washington football team at 2-5 after they beat the Cowboys. Number 27, the Cincinnati Bengals at 1-5-1. They're holding steady at 27. At 26, Houston Texans at 1-6. 25, the Dallas Cowboys down from number 20 at 2-5. Number 24 is the Minnesota Vikings at 1-5, up from 25. Number 23 is the Denver Broncos at 2-4, up from 24. 22 is the Detroit Lions at 3-3. That's surprising. They have a 500 record, up from number 23. 21 is the Philadelphia Eagles at 2-4-1, up from 22. Pretty much everybody up to 19 moving up one slot. The Miami Dolphins are at 19 at a 3-3 record.
And for the first time in 20 years, they've been out of the top 15.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, at 18 are these guys as New England Patriots at 2-4.
Yeah.
Down from 14. At number 17, the Carolina Panthers, who are playing tonight, are 3-4, up from 18. Number 16, the Las Vegas Raiders, who looked very promising, still kind of do, at 3-3, down 1 from 15. But this is a little bit of a surprise. The San Francisco 49ers at 4-3, with all the injuries that they've sustained, are doing fairly well.
Yep.
And they're up from 17.
They're back in the top 15.
Yeah. And number 14.
Well, I think them kicking the shit out of the Pats last week really helped.
Yeah. For the first time in I don't know how long, the Cleveland Browns are at number 14 with a 500 record of 5-5.
No, they're 5-2. Sorry, I had that screwed up.
I was like, wait. We're not in week 10.
Yeah, no. Yeah. They're 5-2.
It clicked after I said it.
We'd be going to week 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're better than a 500 record.
They're 5-2. They are down one slot from number 13, but that's okay.
They're still in
Yeah,
the top
lost
15.
Another fantasy player last week.
Yeah. Damn it, Jeremy. At number 13, the Indianapolis Colts, Gail's favorite team, up or down one from number 12 at 4-2. At number 12, my Chicago Bears at 5-2. They're probably the worst looking 5-2 team in the country.
Yeah.
Down from 11. Number 11, Arizona Cardinals are up from number 16 with a 5-2 record. At 10,
they just knocked off an undefeated.
Yeah.
Gives you a bump.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yep.
At number 10 is the LA Rams at 5-2. At number 9, the New Orleans Saints at 4-2.
I think the Bears have competition in the Rams for the worst looking 5-2 team.
Well, they just lost to the Rams, so I don't know.
Yeah.
At 8, you got the Buffalo Bills at 5-2. At 7, Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 5-2. At 6, at 5-1, is the Tennessee Titans. At 5, you have the Green Bay Packers, Nate's favorite team, at 5-1.
He's an owner, you know.
Yeah. He's got stock. At number 4 is the Baltimore Ravens at 5-1. At number 3, dropping from the top spot that they've held pretty much almost all year,
Yep.
is the Seattle Seahawks at 5-1. At number 2, at 6-1, are the Kansas City Chiefs, and your new number 1 ranking and only undefeated in the NFL is the Pittsburgh Steelers, which my wife is extremely happy about.
Did she make you up to in a good way?
Maybe.
Maybe. When you told her they were number 1, she's like, "Yeah, boy." And you're like, "Oh, I'm in trouble."
We watched the game Sunday, and she scared the shit out of me because it was dead silent and I was looking at my phone because I wasn't really paying super close attention, and all of a sudden she's like, "Yeah!" and started screaming. I was like, "What the hell just happened?" I wasn't ready.
Smitty, these power rankings are always from from ESPN. That's where Nate got them from, and that's where I continue to get them from.
Is Smitty bitching again?
I don't know. He probably doesn't like how the power rankings are. He should just be happy that the Dolphins and the Patriots are neck and neck to each other. And after this week, the Miami Dolphins will probably be ahead of the New England Patriots, not only in the standings, but also in the power rankings. All right, so let's get to our fantasy football league. So Mo's mixing it up. Beat the Foo Flinger Me Dong 235.12 to 233.6. That was a close game, and where she almost lost in overtime.
She was losing in overtime
Yes.
She was losing at the end of regulation.
She was losing at the end. No, she wasn't. She was okay at regulation, I thought.
No, she said she was losing at the end of regulation. And then starting overtime, she went down a little bit, and then she came back.
Yeah. Okay. And then Lieutenant Dan's Magic Legs, Chris, beat me 210.14 because Joe Burrow went off for 80 effing points, and so his kicker went for 30 points. And
Burrow was playing the Browns.
Yeah, and then he had one more receiver that also went off for 30 points. It was ridiculous. I was like, oh, no wonder why I'm going to lose. And then I took that hat.
Well, I had McLaurin go off for 20, and then I had Beasley go off for 20.
Yeah. And I played the Red Rocket, who got 12 points out of the 3 quarters he played.
Well, guess what? His concussion was probably better for him because he wasn't playing good anyways.
Right. It was pretty bad. Then we had Nate's Joe Buck Yourself beat Bad Juju 180.12 to 159.02. Then Amanda's Ladies and Elements beat Gail's Grand Team 162.6 to 152.68. It was close for a while. And then Smitty's Dolphinics beat the team now known as Unavailable, Jeremy, 227.6 to 94.8.
Damn.
Jeremy's team really showed up this past week.
Yeah, let's just say no one on my roster did anything good this week.
Your best wide receiver was in for what, 2 plays you said, and is now out for the rest of this 2 snaps, and is now out for the rest of the season.
Yes. So my number 1 pick has only played a half a game, and is still possibly missing another 3 to 4 weeks. Apparently, latest news. My number 2 pick has played 3 or 4 weeks. My number 3 pick has actually played it all, and now my number 4 pick's out for the year. And that's just out of my top 4. It gets worse as the further you go down the list.
Yep.
Did you guys ever look on your draft grade was?
Yeah, I had a B-, I think it was. Nate said.
So my draft grade was an A-, and my team has completely imploded because of injuries.
Well, that's what you get for having an A- rating, because all of us B's and C's are doing pretty well.
The only other A- ranking was, I think, Smitty with Dolphin Addicts had an A- ranking too.
And what did Mo have?
Hold on, let me check.
Does it look? Well, speaking of Mo, she is our number 1 in the league right now at 6-1.
She had a B.
She had a B. Well, she's number 1 in the league right now with a 6-1 rank, and she's playing Gail's grand team, who's moved down to number 6 this week at 4-3. I managed somehow to stay at number 2 this week with a 5-2 record, and I am playing Jeremy at number 10, unavailable at 0-7.
Sorry, I'm unavailable this week.
So Nate's Joe Buck Yourself stayed at number 3 at 5-2, and number 7 he's playing Fu Fling Me Dong at 3-4. Smitty and his Dolphanics are 4-3, and he is playing number 8 Ladies and Element at 3-4. And Lieutenant Dan, after beating me, moved up from 7-5, and he is at 4-3, and he's playing Bad Juju, who's 1-6 at number 9. And Nate, Smitty, do you know what your tattoo bet standings are right now? Because I don't think Nate updated it like he's supposed to. I don't know, Smitty. I know
it might be.
I fixed the delay, so it should be less than it was before.
There's still a delay. He's a little behind. He says, "Go, Jeremy." So give him a few minutes.
Yeah.
He probably has to look it up anyways. But I think the goal from now on is I'm going to see if I can field an active roster. And Smitty says he thinks he's a game up. An active roster of potential starting players, not like crap players, and see if I can still maintain my win for the rest of the season.
If you can score points.
No. My goal is to maintain an O and whatever record for the rest of the year now.
Well, I think we have a 12-game season.
So my goal is literally to see if I can field an active team that is supposed to be competitive on a week-to-week basis with actual supposedly somewhat decent players that I haven't got hurt yet. So this week I'm projected to win.
No, you're not,
Travis. Yes, I am.
Because when I last looked at it.
Go check it right now. You have players playing today that have done nothing.
Oh, I do have Carolina. And my kicker's got a couple of points, but my wide receiver is nothing.
That's gotten nothing.
Oh, that's not good.
So I'm projected to win by 3 points. So this is what happens every week. I'm projected to win most weeks.
Yes.
But somehow my team decides to go, hey, let's not play. Or, hey, let's get injured.
Yeah.
So this is I have a 52% chance to win. My odds, I'm going to say, are a lot less than that.
Yeah.
Or can the name change my season around to start winning every week?
Do we have Nate's and Amanda's picks?
No, we do not. So they're going to have to come over and give it to me in person. Because Nate said he was going to be on tonight. And now he's not going to be on, so now I'm not happy. Well, let's see. So, as we speak, I know Gail and Mo are playing each other. Their QBs are playing each other. And Gale's QB is having a bad day. Bridgewater is questionable to return. And he was perfect through the first half, but Mo's QB is at 40.92 and Bridgewater is at 23.68. So it could be a bad day for Gale.
Well, Bridgewater's done, so that's where he's staying at this week.
So that's not good. That's not a good sign.
So Mo's on her
This
way.
is gonna hide in the basement.
So I love how the fact is they still have Bridgewater projected at 37 points.
Yep. Well, maybe he'll come back.
Huh?
They're saying maybe he's coming back. He ain't coming back.
No, he's in concussion protocol. Even if he clears concussion protocol, by that time it's going to be late in the fourth quarter, and they're not going to bring him back out there.
Oh, they might. Who knows?
Oh, wait,
if the game is close, close.
Well, no, it's already in the fourth quarter. I don't think they'd bring him back. I don't think he'd clear concussion protocol by now. I didn't realize it was this late in the third quarter when it happened.
All right. So let's get to our picks.
Picks? What are those?
Our last week's picks, where me and Smitty went for 10 correct games each, and not even the same 10 games. Well, not all of them. So we had, then the following up was Mo and Nate with 9 correct. Oh, Mo, yeah. And then we had Gale and Chris with 8 correct, and Jeremy, you only got 7. You had a bad week last week. Oh, Gale, Amanda, and Chris got 8. And then Jeremy only got 7.
I think 3 of my picks lost on the last play of the game.
Probably.
Like as time was expiring, I'm like,
because speaking of the last play of the game, the New York Giants lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 22-21 on last Thursday night, because I know I stayed awake for that last play for the Giants to lose on.
Yep, last play of the game.
And the New Orleans Saints hosted the Carolina Panthers. The New Orleans Saints won 27-24. The Buffalo Bills went over to the Jets and didn't score a single touchdown. Well, the only touchdown of the game was scored by the Jets, but the Jets ended up losing 18-10. The Cleveland Browns went over to the Cincinnati Bengals and beat them 37-34. The Dallas Cowboys went up to Washington and lost miserably 25-3. The Red Rocket went out with a concussion.
They flew to D.C. to kick a field goal.
Yep. All the way up there.
That's the Dallas way.
The Green Bay Packers went down to Houston and won 35-20. The Detroit Lions went over to the Atlanta Falcons and won 23-22 in the last seconds of the game, if I remember correctly. Yes, yep. Last second. 0 points, 0 seconds left on the clock for the game-winning extra point field goal. The Pittsburgh Steelers went over the Tennessee Titans and won 27-24. That was an awful game for the Titans. They barely... 24 was really gift points at the end of the game.
Gostkowski could have kicked a field goal. If he could have made the field goal, that goes to overtime.
Yep. Gostkowski missed another field goal just like usual.
That dude is like 50-50 from under 50 yards. Anything over 50, he's like clockwork.
Yep.
Yeah, that was... And that's what they were saying at that, like, during the game, they said, oh, they might have got too close for him.
Yeah.
And it's like, if his stats this year are ridiculous. If he's over that 50-yard marker, he's perfect. If he's like 49 and under, he's like you said, he's a coin flip. It's crazy.
The Atlanta Falcons might beat the Carolina Panthers tonight. So
they just missed an extra point.
And then the blowout game of the week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers blew out the Las Vegas Raiders 45-20. The Raiders have beaten the Green Bay Packers, the New Orleans Saints, and somebody else.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs, all top of the league, top division teams. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're saying they're going to Vegas. Most likely they're going to lose. And in that first half, it was close. They scored right before the end of before halftime. And then they got the ball back after halftime. First run, didn't do anything. I found a way to watch the game just to see what they were doing, and then all of a sudden they were up. Brady and Tampa Bay just went off, and Las Vegas fell behind bad.
I feel like Tampa's gonna might host their first Super Bowl. They might be the first team to host Super Bowl.
Host their Super Bowl in their own.
Free. The Super Bowl's in Tampa this year, and they're playing mistake-free, penalty-free football right now.
Yep, Brady finally told it.
Still can't beat Foles.
If we stop getting penalties, we can go to the Super Bowl, guys. We have the talent. Just do what you're fucking told and stop doing stupid shit.
Hey, and you want to know who was the NFC Offensive Player of the Month?
Who?
Mr. TB12.
And then the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Denver Broncos 43-16 at Denver. In the snow, too. Jacksonville Jaguars lost to the Los Angeles Chargers at 39-29.
Weird football score.
Yep. It is weird. San Francisco 49ers came to New England and beat the crap out of the Patriots 33-6.
I thought that was gonna be a bounce back game. Get right, everything week removed from the COVID crap. They were gonna be good to go, and I could have told you it was over from about midway through the first quarter, if that.
Yeah, it was a bad game. I had a feeling San Francisco was going to come in here and win, but I thought it was going to be closer than it was, and I would have been happy if I was wrong, but it was not wrong. Jimmy G made us look silly. Seattle Seahawks Sunday night went over to the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals won 37-34 in a close overtime game. Then on Monday night, the Chicago Bears went to the Los Angeles Rams and lost 24-10.
The play calling was horrific.
Oh yeah, it was awful.
Which game was that?
The Bears game.
The Bears, they looked like they looked like little children out there playing the Rams. It was bad.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to this week's picks. I have Smitty's.
Wait, did everyone pick Carolina this week or on Thursday night?
Let's see. No, Mo picked the Atlanta Falcons. She was our lone Atlanta Falcon picker.
And she might be the lone winner.
Yeah, she might be the only one right on the Thursday nights.
Yeah, I don't think anybody pictured Bridgewater going down though.
No, if
either.
Bridgewater hadn't gone down,
losing before that, anyways.
Yeah, but they were losing with meaning 2 points. They had a field goal over them. So
field goals were 2 points.
No, what they had 2 points over because they had missed stuff. You know what I mean. So
too easy to mess with you.
So since Nate's not here, I guess I have the first pick. The Minnesota Vikings going down to the Green Bay Packers. I am picking the Green Bay Packers. Jeremy, who are you gonna go with?
I'm taking the home team.
Go with the Packers. Chris, who are you gonna go with?
Definitely going with the Packers.
Definitely going with the Packers. Smitty went with the Packers, so that means we're all going to lose this week. Have no idea about Gail. Jeremy,
Smitty was tied last.
Yeah, me and Smitty did have a 10 each for the win. So Jeremy, who are you gonna? Who's Mo going with this week?
Packers.
The Packers.
Who the hell is their backup quarterback?
Who, the Packers?
Jordan Love.
No. The
PJ Walker.
Carolina Panthers. Oh, that's right. He's the XFL player.
Right. He was actually pretty good, so it's possible.
He was. I wonder what happens if they come back and win this game now. If Bridgewater will get benched.
I don't know, but they're running the ball, so who knows?
PJ Walker's a short quarterback too, though.
Yeah. Jeremy, who are you gonna go with? The Tennessee Titans are going down to going over to the Bengals. Because it's really tough.
I am going to take the Titans.
Going to take the Titans. Chris, who are you going with?
This game is going to kill me. I'm going with the Titans, but this game is going to kill me because my starting running back's on one team, my starting quarterback is on the other.
So Smitty is going with the Titans. Jeremy, who's Mo going with?
Titans.
Even though I want Cincinnati to win, I am also going to the Titans. Chris, you have the first pick. The New York Jets are going over to Kansas City and the Mahomes Chiefs.
Really? You should just be able to fill this one in yourself for everyone. Going with the Chiefs.
So you're going with the Jets? Oh, you're going with the Chiefs. Jeremy, is Mo going with the Jets? The Jets?
And first of all, is the GETS. Remember their veteran player announced that at the draft.
Yes.
And no, she's going with the Chiefs.
I am also going with the Chiefs. Are you going with the GETS?
No, I don't go with butt fumble and butt interception teams.
All right, so Mo's got the first pick for the next one. The Indianapolis Colts are going to the Detroit Lions at 1 o'clock on Sunday.
She's taking the Colts.
She's taking the Colts. Oh, I forgot to fill in Smitty's for last thing. And that was the Chiefs.
And filling in for this week for the Lions
And
Colts game.
He is going with the Colts. This is a tougher game now that Detroit is actually winning. But I feel like the Colts are probably the team to go with. Jared, who you going with?
I'm going with the Colts defense.
Going with the Colts defense.
I'd be happy if the Lions win, but I feel like the Colts defense is going to prevent that from happening.
Chris, are you going with the Detroit Lions offense?
I'm not that trusting. I'm going with the Colts.
All right.
I picked the Lions last week and got lucky.
So, next is the Pittsburgh Steelers going to the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens have been sucking this year, but I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is really... Everybody's been figured out how to beat Baltimore. Baltimore's been sucking bad. You know, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh this week. Yeah, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. Jeremy, who you going with?
I'm going to go with the Ravens. Pittsburgh loses their first game.
Pittsburgh loses their first game. Chris, who you going with?
I think Big Ben, Claypool, and Schuster show out a little bit. I'm going to go with the Steelers.
Smitty is going to try and go 4 for 4 on predicting the first losses, and he is going with the Baltimore Ravens. So, if he wins, then we know Smitty is the guy to pick the when you want your team to lose. Jerry, who's Mo going with?
She is going with the Steelers.
She's going with the Steelers. Jerry, you have the first pick. The Los Angeles Rams are going over to Miami.
I am going to take the Rams because Tua's not ready.
Chris, who are you going to go with?
I agree with Jeremy. I don't think Tua is ready to be the starter yet. He hasn't shown us enough. I'm going with the Rams.
Let's see. I should know this by now, but hold on. I don't see Miami on Smitty's list. Smitty went with... Hold on. Smitty doesn't have it on here. I don't see a Rams or Miami on here.
I think it's a given. He always...
Yeah, just put Miami.
Yeah, it's a given.
No. He said Rams everyone should take.
Smitty, does that mean you're taking the Rams?
No, he's
taking the Dolphins. Oh, it's the very top pick. See, you had him out of order. That's my problem.
Everyone has him out of your order.
No, he's good. Every other team's been good so far. Or just about.
Oh, Travis, I don't mean to interrupt your picks, but this just keeps getting better for me.
What?
For college football. So Desmond Howard, Heisman winner from Michigan, host of College Game Day.
Yep.
Has tested positive for COVID-19.
The host now.
Yeah. I just don't like Desmond Howard because he played for Michigan.
Ah.
What NFL team did he play for?
The Packers.
Yeah, we can say we don't like him. Too.
Yeah, we don't like him either.
He was the 95 Heisman winner.
Ah. So he was on the 96 Packers that went to the Super Bowl and beat the Patriots?
I think so.
So we don't like him either.
No, I don't think technically because that was 95 season, 96 Super Bowl, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe.
Or was it 96 season, 97 Super Bowl?
I don't remember.
I think it was 96, 97 if I recall.
So who's Mo going with? The Rams or the Dolphins?
Rams.
I think I am also going to go with Rams. They look better than what I think the Dolphins are. Chris, you're the first pick. The New England Patriots are going over to Buffalo, about 6 hours from here.
I think Buffalo takes it.
8 hours from here.
8 hours. You think Buffalo's taking it? Smitty also agrees with you. Smitty agrees with you that Buffalo is going to take it. Does Mo agree with Smitty and Chris, Jeremy?
She went with Buffalo.
You went Buffalo. I am also going Buffalo. I do not believe the Patriots have a get-right game yet. Jeremy, who you going with?
The Bills.
The Bills. The dildo-throwing Bills.
Yep, the dildos.
And Jeremy, he was on that team.
Ha!
Yeah, I thought so.
I was wrong because he was the 91 Heisman winner, not 95.
Yeah, see, the worst part about COVID, you don't get the Buffalo Bills fans.
No.
You don't get Bills Nation up there.
That is probably the worst. So next we had the last 1 o'clock game. We have the Las Vegas Raiders going over to the Browns, and Smitty is picking the Browns to win this week. Who is Mo going with, Jeremy?
She's also jumping on Team Brown.
Team Brown.
She's a diehard Browns fan most weeks. If they're not playing the Patriots, she's rooting for the Browns.
So this one's a little bit tougher. Do I think the Raiders are good? Yes. Do I think the Browns are good? Amazing, yes. Do I think the Browns are going to lose at home to the Raiders? After the Raiders got stomped last week, I could see them having a get-right game. So I am going to go with the Raiders this week. Jeremy, who are you going to go with?
The Raiders. The Browns' schedule has been fluffed with their teams they've faced. They faced a good team in Pittsburgh a few weeks ago, and you could see who they actually are.
Right. Pittsburgh might be better than we all think, too.
Already.
So
they have played 2 games against Cincinnati already and beat them barely in both games.
So Chris,
I agree with Jeremy. I'm going with the Raiders because when you barely beat a team and are sacking their quarterback 3 to 6 times per game. Yeah, that just shows me a little bit more of what kind of team you are.
Yeah.
And they just lost their top receiver, too. Yeah. On top of the fact they already lost their top running back.
So next...
Hey, wait, there's my draft board going out the window again.
So next, we have the first 4 o'clock game. At 4:05, the Los Angeles Chargers, with the underrated rookie QB, is going over to Denver. Who is Mo going with?
She is going with the Chargers.
The Chargers. I am also going with the Chargers. That rookie QB looks to be a much better QB than we all thought. Jeremy, who are you going with?
I thought he'd be good. I was actually kind of surprised they actually still stayed with Tyrod Taylor as their starter.
For that first week?
Huh?
For that first week?
Till he got an ejection a little too deep. I wonder if it was on purpose. But I'm gonna go with the Chargers. But I wouldn't be surprised if
it's a close game.
If the Broncos do win, because your first time playing in Denver, if you're not used to that altitude, it can mess with you.
Yeah.
Especially with how their travel restrictions are and their limited time in the opposing states, there's that altitude change. It hits you hard, especially if you don't hydrate properly.
Oh yeah.
And even the way you throw the ball is a little different.
Yeah, you have to have a lighter touch on because you can fly much further up in Denver.
Oh yeah.
All right, Chris.
That's what I'm afraid of on that one.
Chris,
I'm also going to take the Chargers, but I think Denver is going to make it a game.
And it looks like Smitty went with the Broncos. So next I got the first pick. The New Orleans Saints are going over to Chicago. 4:25 game. You know what? The Saints, they've come back a little bit. but I'm going to say it's going to be cold up, really cold up in Chicago. He doesn't do good outside in the cold. Well, it's supposed to be very cold up there in Chicago this weekend. I'm going with Chicago. Jeremy, who you going with?
I'm going with the Bears.
The Bears. Smitty. Chris, who you going to go with?
I'm going with my Bears.
The Bears.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do lose, though. I think it depends a lot on play calls this week.
Oh, yeah.
It is the Bears.
Smitty is also going with the Bears. Who's Mo going with?
The Bears.
The Bears. Ooh. We might have someone across the board. So, Jeremy, first, you have the next pick. The San Francisco 49ers are going to Seattle.
I am going to take Russell Wilson and his moonball to beat up on the Niners.
Chris, who you going with?
Also taking the Sea Chickens. As good as the Niners are playing, I can't see them beating Seattle at home.
Seattle at home? No, not likely. Smitty is also going up with those Sea Chickens. Jeremy, who's Mo going with?
Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Go Hawks, go.
If the 49ers were at home, this might be a little different, but No, it might be a little different if they were playing the way they were playing.
I think it'd be closer. I don't know if they'd win, but I think it would be probably.
I think they'd make a game out of it, but I ain't gonna go to Sea Chickens against them. All right, I think Chris, you have the first pick. The Dallas Cowboys, them boys, are going over to Philly.
Fuck. Can I flip a coin? Shit.
You can, but it's not worth it. Dallas Cowboys are on their backup QB.
It's confirmed that he's not playing then.
He's still under concussions as of right now. So
I'm gonna take the Eagles then. I mean, I do trust in Zeke, but I'm still gonna take the Eagles.
I don't trust in Zeke. Did you see what happened last time they trusted in Zeke?
I trust that he has the potential.
I trust that he's not worth the money they're paying him.
Oh, I could have told you that shit.
Smitty is going with the Eagles. Who's Mo going with, Jeremy?
She's taking the Cowboys. I don't think she realizes they have first and second quarterback gone.
I don't think she realizes that they're basically playing their practice squad QB. Because I am also going with the Eagles fly. Jeremy, who you going with?
I'm going to go with Carson Wentz and Hurts.
Go Eagles.
I'm going with always Hurts.
Always
gonna hurt.
And sometimes hurt. Smitty had the upset of the year and then changed his mind. He was going to go with the Giants, and he said, no way. Buccaneers is the way to go. So Smitty is going with the Buccaneers on Monday night versus the New York Giants at Giant Stadium. Who's Mo going with, Jeremy?
She's going with the Bucks. I'm wondering if this game gets flexed because the a staffer, like was the equipment person, got COVID on the Bucks.
Really? It might get flexed.
I don't know how you flex a Monday night game, but it'd be interesting. But she's going with the Bucks.
I am also going to Bucks. They may just move it to next week. They haven't had a bye yet. Jeremy, who you going with?
Going with the Bucks. And TB, I trust.
Yeah. Chris, who you going with?
I'm going to go with the Bucks, but my question is, they're playing at Giant Stadium.
Yes.
Which Buccaneers going to get hurt on that field?
Hopefully AB.
That's what I was just thinking. Wouldn't that be some shit? He comes back,
and
catches the ball, gets hurt.
He's not available this week. He's not available till week 9.
Oh, that's right.
I can see maybe
he won't get hurt.
What's their
Jeremy, do you have any Tampa Bay Buccaneers on your squad? You
Gronk.
do. You have Gronk. That's who's getting hurt.
If that happens,
Smitty,
I'm going to die laughing Monday night.
Smitty, I'm going to need you to tell us what the Thursday night game is going to be. Because you didn't send it to us on the list. So next week, week 9. Oh, I didn't fill in anybody else's games because games have been changing like crazy, so I haven't filled it in yet. So, but I do have the Thursday night game. The Green Bay Packers are going to the San Francisco 49ers. And since Nate's not here, I guess no, Jeremy, you got to go because I picked the last one.
I'm going with the Packers.
You're going with the Packers. Chris, who you going with?
I'm also going to take the Packers. I think Aaron Rodgers just outshined Jimmy G.
Jeremy, do you have Mose while we're waiting for Smitty?
She's going for the Packers.
She's going for the Packers. I am going with the Packers.
Oh, Bridgewater's back in.
Told you. You got a few more points, Miguel. Smitty is going to go with the 49ers.
Wow, I'm surprised they...
Well, I forgot. I'm going to change mine. I am changing mine.
No, you can't. You already made your pick.
I did. Because Green Bay does not win at San Francisco. Ever. Ever
you
since...
can't change your pick.
I know.
You already made it.
I know. I already made it. Damn it. Well, maybe the first time in a long time that... Well, ever. First time ever that pretty boy up in Green Bay gets a win over at San Francisco.
Well, the issue is he has to he has to win, otherwise Luck's gonna take his spot. So
yeah,
he has that Jimmy G motivation going on right now behind him.
Yeah, he does. All right.
Wow, that guy was offside by a mile.
Oh yeah. So I will make sure I fill in the rest of these games for our all our pickers. But as the standings for us stand, we have Chris, number 1, with 71 correct games picked at 68%. In second place, me and Jeremy and Gail all have 66% with 69 games picked. The proper number to be picked right. Then we have
Mo.
Yeah, Mo at number 5 with 64%, 67 games picked right. Amanda with 66 games and 63%. And then Nate at 62% with 65 games right. And Smitty pulling up the rear with 60 games picked correctly and 57%. He is the only one of us underneath 60%.
Smitty, you got to bump those numbers.
Yeah, Smitty's going to have to start picking more right often. But I think that...
A few more weeks.
Oh, yeah.
A few more weeks and it could change.
Yep. We're just about halfway through the season, so after this week, we'll see how our predictions of all the teams that we had decided before the season were going to end up. To see how correct
we did what their record would be at the end of the year, didn't we?
Yes, so we'll see how close we are to being correct or wrong.
I'm going to say we did horrible.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, no one picked the NFC crap hole to be that bad.
No. We expected a few more games out of them, but we'll see if they're on track at least.
We expected at least someone would be over 500, didn't we?
Yeah. We expected someone at least be a positive record by now. But I think we've been on long enough. It's almost been 2 hours.
Yes, Minnie, you do need to stop picking the Dolphins. Otherwise, then you might start making up some games.
There you go.
That's all, folks.
Bye, everybody.